Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatham Vitam Tam Sajivam Sarvetam Savadutam Prijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Vitamscha Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gobisha Gobika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapcha Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavanishwari Vrishabhana Sudadevi Pranamami Hari Priye Panchakalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bevacha Patitanam Pavnebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Sri Vasudeva Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So, reading from Srimad Bhagavad-Gita as it is. Translation and commentary, Srila Prabhupada. Today's verse, chapter 18, the perfection of renunciation, verse number 40. Huh? Chalis. Bahut badi hai. So, I'll read the Sanskrit. You repeat just one time. Then we'll read the English and you repeat. Natad asti pravittim va divi deveṣu cha punaḥ sattva prakṛti-jair muktam yad ebhiḥ tribhir guṇaiḥ. So, translation, Srila Prabhupada. There is no being existing either here or among the demigods in the higher planetary systems which are freed from these three modes born of material nature. Please repeat. There is no being existing. Here or among the demigods. In the higher planetary systems. Which is freed. From these three modes. Born of material nature. So that's a very strong, clear statement, right? Purport. Also, Prabhupada only gives one sentence in the purport. The Lord here summarizes the influence of the three modes of material nature all over the universe. Yes. Muktaṁ karoti vācālam pangam laitegarim yad kripa tamaham vande Sri Gurun Vrindavan. Natad asti pṛthivyāṁ va divi deveṣu cha punaḥ sattva prakṛti-jair muktam yad ebhiḥ syāt tribhir guṇaiḥ. There is no being existing either here or among the demigods in the higher planetary systems, which is freed, it should be who is freed, from these three modes of material nature. Oh, three modes born of material nature. Yes. So, this is very clear and conclusive, right? Now just consider that, because Bhagavad-Gita is for consideration. There is no being, that means no spirit soul, no living being. Now just wonder how many living beings there are on this planet, lower planetary system and upper planetary system. There's also 14 worlds, but sometimes it is called the three worlds, upper planetary system, lower planets, and the middle planetary system. So that's tribhuvan. So on this earth, they say there is 7 billion humans. There must be billions of mosquitoes, billions of microbes, billions of animals. This is just one loka. And then you have, above us, we have bhuloka, or the ghostly entities, Swargaloka, Mahaloka, Janaloka, Tapaloka, Satyaloka, all full of endless varieties of living entities according to their condition. And then below we have Atala, Vitala, Sutala, Mahatala, Talatala, Patala, Rasatala, Patala. And then below that, Narak and Prithviloka also. So these are the 14 worlds, sometimes, like I say, divided into 3. And there are billions of living entities. The Vedas say there are 8,400,000 species or categories of life. So, but every single one of them, and that includes Lord Brahma. But our Lord Brahma, we hear from the Acharyas, is a pure devotee. So he is freed from the modes of material nature. But everyone else, and this is described also in the 5th canto, when Lord Rishabdev is teaching his sons before he renounces the world and lives as an avadut, he says there is the Bhuloka, this earthly realm, there's where the earthly beings are, they have earthly bodies like us. Then there is above them, there is the ghosts and spirits. They're considered, Lord Rishabdev says, a higher species because they have less of a material gross body. And then above them there is the Gandharvas, then there is the Siddhas, then there is the Asuras, then there is the Devas, the administrative demigods, the Devatas, and then above them, of all the Devas, Lord Shiva is supreme, because he is not Jiva Tattva, but he's not Vishnu Tattva. But then, because Lord Shiva manifests from Lord Brahma is considered higher in status. And then Lord Rishabdev says, but Lord Brahma is the highest, but then the devotees are considered, the brahmanas are considered the highest of all, because Krishna says, Lord Rishabdev, he is Shaktivesh avatar, because I favor them. I favor the brahmanas. So brahmana doesn't mean by birth, by janma. It means by quality. That is the mistake of the modern misinterpretation. They think everything is by birth, or many people think, I'm born in Brahman family, I'm Brahman. I'm born in Kshatriya, I'm Brahmana. But Krishna says in the Gita, guna karma, according to your quality, so will your inclination to a certain work be. But the brahmanas, a brahmana in Shastra is brahmana janati brahman. That means the person who knows, understands Brahman, he is a brahmana. So Brahman there means the Supreme Lord. The person who understands Bhagavan, Paramatma, and Brahmajyoti, Brahman effulgence, that person is a brahmana. And by his understanding, he is liberated soul. Therefore, he is the highest living entity in the material world. Because in the material world, this is in the Shastra, there are 3 types of living entity. There is one type of living entity who is trying to control and enjoy the material energy. Then there is another living entity who, by grace of Guru, Sadhu, he is trying to become liberated from the 3 modes of material nature. And then there is the third type of person, Devim Prakritim Ashrita. They are the Mahatma. They are under the divine energy. They're under the spiritual energy. They're not under the modes of material nature. So they are also manifest in the material world. They come as teachers, acharyas. They write 6 courses for many devotees, simple devotees that you may walk past in the street, but they may be full of prem bhav, and because they have this prem bhav, they are liberated soul. They may sit next to you on the bus. You may meet them or see them, and they look like ordinary person. They have material body, but their consciousness is fixed on the Supreme. So you have conditioned sadhakas and liberated. Liberated from the 3 modes of material nature. And people come under the modes of material nature by trying to enjoy. Right? The first category, they're trying to control Ishvaropi and Ahambogi. I am controller and enjoyer of this material world. They're forgetful of their relationship with Krishna. They're not interested, or they have no real interest. But the sadhaka, he's touched by spiritual knowledge, by guru, so he's trying, I should use this life not to enjoy. And that is, but I should gather knowledge. That is in previous verse, right? Before this verse, Krishna says, O best of the Bharatas, now please hear about the 3 kinds of happiness by which the conditioned soul enjoys, and by which he sometimes comes to an end of all distress. So, number 1, that which in the beginning may be just like poison, but at the end is just like nectar, and which awakens one to self-realization, is said to be happiness in the mode of goodness. So that is the sadhaka. He is trying to discipline his material, sensual activities, and he is trying to fix his consciousness, manmanana, on Krishna. He is struggling with the senses. Krishna tells Arjuna, armed with knowledge, determination, stand and fight. So that may be like poison, because we have the natural propensity to eat, sleep, drink, be merry. We don't want to discipline ourselves. We want to eat ice cream. We want to overeat. We want to oversleep. We want to do this. But devotee has to perform sadhaka. He has to perform sadhana. Vaidhi bhakti, rag bhakti, bhava bhakti. But at the end it's like nectar, because it is a process that if you do chant Hare Krishna and you read Bhagavatam and you try to live purely, then you will awaken the soul. It's a fact, right? That's what's happening now. All over India, everyone is chanting Hare Krishna in the Hare Krishna temple. Our temple is packed. Why? We don't have to tell them to become devotee. Already they may have some traditional attachment, family attachment to being devotee, but when they come to the Hare Krishna temple, they hear the kirtan and they dance and they chant. And this is Kali Yuga. The Kali Yuga, Nama Rupa Krishna avatar. The avatar for Kali Yuga is the holy name. And if you chant the holy name, then the soul wakes up. So you personally experience the validity of the spiritual world, slowly, step by step. If you don't chant in Kali Yuga, it's very unlikely that you will make any dedicated process. So people are coming and they're chanting, they're hearing, and they think, wow, this is something nice. So this is now, India is waking up to yoga, and bhakti-yoga particularly. Nobody is thinking I'm God anymore, right? That was the idea. I came to India in the 70s, and many of the sadhus, they smoking chillum. It was the hippie days. And they were saying, we are all God. You are God. I am God. He is God. Everyone's God. Huh? So if everyone is the Prime Minister, if everyone is Narendra Modi, that means there is no Prime Minister. There's only one Prime Minister. So this is the understanding given in the Vedas. Krishna's to Bhagavan Swayam. Ishvara Parava Krishna. Krishna declares it himself, that I am matak parataram nanyad kintid asti dhananjaya. There's nothing beyond me. Everything is resting upon me. Pearls on the thread. So Krishna, he is the ultimate principle of everything. And he is personal. So that realization, Krishna explains in the Gita, at the end of 15th chapter, he says, the fact that I am the Supreme Personality of Godhead, this is the most confidential part of the Vedic literature. And I am revealing it to you now, Arjuna, because you're my friend and you are not envious of me. And also in 15th chapter, what's that? Matak smriti jnanam apohanam cha. I give realization about myself within the heart of the devotee. So Krishna consciousness is not a fact, belief. It is experience. It is something that people experience by chanting. And if they continue steadily, they become liberated. And what is liberation? From the modes of material nature. That is in the Bhagavatam. Muktir hitapanyata rupan swarupena avabashtiti. What is mukti? It means to be situated in one's spiritual form, in one's spiritual relationship with the Supreme Lord. That is mukti. Mukti doesn't mean just freedom from the modes of material nature. It means attachment to Krishna. Just being freed from the jailhouse is one thing. But outside the jailhouse, you have to develop your life. So mukti means to have developed your relationship with Krishna. And that is there, lying dormant within the soul. Just like a tree is within the seed. So our relationship with Krishna, our form, our spiritual form, our spiritual personality is lying within the soul in seed form. Just like every seed has a plant within. So that is awoken, that soul is awoken by hearing and chanting. So that is the central point of sadhaka, of sadhana, to hear and chant. To hear the Mahamantra, to chant the Mahamantra, and to read Bhagavatam. Paranaka dunodita, kalo nasta drisham esha. That in Kali Yuga, people have lost their vision. Krishna has gone to his abode. But if you read Bhagavatam, this will clear the darkness. Bhagavatam is specially constructed. So if you hear, you chant Hare Krishna, you read Bhagavatam, study Bhagavatam, then you read other literatures, Govinda Leelamrita, Krishna Bhavanamrita, you read the Lord Chaitanya, then you'll understand the position of Lord Chaitanya, and then step by step, like a plant grows, you will develop your relationship with Krishna. Then you are Siddha Swarup. Above that, there is Vastu Siddhi. Vastu Siddhi means that you've gone to the spiritual world. You can have Swarup Siddhi in this material body. You can have revelation of your relationship with Krishna gradually becoming stronger, but that you're still in the material body, so to speak. But Vastu Siddhi means you've left the material mind and body behind in the river Varaja, and you're now on the transcendental platform eternally. Purna janma navijate. You won't take birth again. So that is the process. Very simple. Very simple, very clear. And it is very natural. Because to hear about Krishna, to hear Bhagavad-Gita is very interesting. To hear Bhagavatam is very interesting. To chant Hare Krishna is very sweet, very nice, very satisfying. I'm doing for nearly 50 years. I'm very happy. I don't think, I'm a bit tired now, I'll take a year off of chanting. No, I have to chant every day or else I don't feel satisfied. So, chanting Hare is experience-based. And that is liberation. So what is this three modes of material nature? Right? this is the general position. So now, what is it? Mode of goodness means that I want to control myself and for higher purpose. Mode of passion means I want to enjoy this world. Mode of ignorance type of people, they just want to eat hedonism. They want to drink, have sex, take drugs, do this, do that, then go to the rehab and do it again, and so on. So that is mode of ignorance. So, and then Krishna says, today's verse, there's nobody free. Of some people are in the mode of goodness, some people in the mode of passion, some ignorance. Generally in the lower planetary systems and in the animal species, they are in mode of ignorance. This Kali Yuga, Bhuloka, is passion and ignorance, but human beings are very passionate. They're always doing something, building something, or traveling here, or exploring. But mode of goodness in the high planetary systems, they increasingly, as you go up, they're interested in Brahman, the Supreme. So this is the layout of the material universe. So what is this three modes of material nature? Now there's a chapter there. So let's go right to the beginning. First of all, we have to understand that we went to school in the material world, particularly at this time, and we were taught atheistic materialism. That means that everything is matter. That's actually the philosophy of materialism. Only matter exists. And if you analyze matter, you can control and enjoy it. You can make nuclear power, you can make electricity. But beyond that, there is nothing. There is only matter. That is materialism. So we are taught that you can understand this universe through the laws of physics, the laws of chemistry, the laws of biology, through mathematics. We don't know everything yet, but eventually we are progressing. So this is the proposal, and they've captured the schools and universities. You can't teach, except maybe some Christian colleges or Muslim places, they teach that everything is created by God. But they say things like it's done in 6 days, and people are not satisfied with that, so it makes confusion. But in the Vedas, Krishna explains everything very nicely. And he explains this final point, that everything is resting upon my mystic potency. Our philosophy is achintya bheda bhed. Bheda bhed means different and non-different, but achintya means beyond material conception. The materialist thinks, I will make a formula, physics, chemistry, biology, to explain everything. But the devotee understands that actually the creation, it has mathematics and physics and chemistry within it as a subset, but they cannot fully explain the material creation even, because it is the production and it is maintained by the achintya, the Brahman, by the unlimited Supreme Lord. For example, it is explained in the Vedas that the Vaikuntha, the creation, the spiritual creation, is unlimited. But we can't conceive that, can we? We try to think, unlimited means very, 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 very big. But unlimited means without end. There is no non-creation section. It is just there is only creation. So how we can understand that? Right? So achintya means that it is beyond material calculation, beyond that is Amazon. Anyway, this material creation is beyond calculation. But you see, the materialists think, no, I've made the hyaluron. Hello, Amazon, Abhinay, May Mandir May, Prabhachan Denge, Kallau. It's good Hindi? Good enough. So, what's that? He'll try again. Anyway, he will, what am I saying? So, this is beyond material conception. But the materialist thinks, no, it's matter. I will tie it all down. I'll discover everything by my Hadron Collider, by my telescope, by my microscope. Eventually I'll know everything. A noble pursuit, but it is mayaya apṛthivyāṁ. They don't get the full picture. Mathematics, chemistry is there, nobody will deny. But it is not the ultimate explanation. Krishna said it is ultimately Krishna's sweet will. It is like a painter. He gets a blank canvas and then he thinks, I'll create this painting. So this creation, material and spiritual, is the display of Krishna's achintya Shakti, unlimited Shakti, unlimited design. And when you look at the material nature with that understanding, then you realize I'm living in a magical universe. I'm living in a mystic universe. I'm living ultimately in a creation, even though this is the lower material creation, it is beyond, it is a mystical. So that is understood by Krishna more and more, the material creation, spiritual creation, by meditating upon Krishna. Vedanta krit vedavit evachaham. By grace of Krishna, he can give understanding. And that's what they're doing in Mahalok, Janalok, Tapalok. They are meditating on the Supreme Lord. And they're meditating on one aspect, time, or Shakti, or consciousness. And they're realizing. And they're doing this for 1,000 millions of years in heavenly planets. So it is coming to them in this way, by spiritual understanding, by spurti, by mercy of Krishna. So, and this is the actual system of realizing, atak Shri Krishna nabhadi nabhavadgraham indriya, sevan mukhi jivado swayameva spuryadam. Krishna reveals himself to his devotee. That is his happiness. So the devotee lives in this world. He is not looking at the material modes and thinking, what does this mean in terms of physics and chemistry? You understand? We've been trained from childhood. Like I went to fancy schools. My father, he sent me to fancy schools till I was 18. Then I went to college. I didn't study physics and chemistry at college. But I fit to childhood, 18. And they're always explaining everything in physics and chemistry. So you might hear the Vedic literature and think, what does it mean in terms of physics and chemistry? Physics and chemistry is there, but it'll not give the full picture. It is a subset, if you understand in mathematics, they have sets. It's a subset of reality. So the ultimate understanding is that this is Krishna's creation, his inconceivable creation. So, what is the three modes within this creation? There is Vaikuntha, unlimited. It is called the spiritual sky. Maybe he can understand now. So, it is unlimited. So what is happening? Oh my God. Aj nahi hoga. Aj nahi hoga. Aj nahi hoga. Kal aao. Jao. That's 3 times is good enough, I hope. They say in Shastra, you say something 3 times, that's for sure. Anyway, So the unlimited spiritual sky. So in the sky sometimes a cloud is arising. That is the pradhan. Within the pradhan is Mahavishnu lying on the bed of an antasesh, and he's being attended by Rama Devi, expansion of Srimati Radharani. So what is he doing? He is in Yoga Nidra, he's in mystic slumber, and he is emanating another form of the Chit Shakti in the terms of the pradhan. It is Chit Shakti, but because he is in mystic slumber, it has the mixture of tama, forgetfulness. Just like when we sleep, we forget ourselves. So this is the leader of the Supreme Lord, inconceivable. He is in mystic slumber, he is emanating Chit Shakti, that is the Karana Dakshayosha. This is the basic substance of matter, pradhan. Now, when he exhales, universes are formed and they float. The material energy floats within this pradhan. And how is it created? He glances, when he exhales, he glances at Durga Devi, the personification of the material energy, and this glance is Sada Shiva. It has the time potency, the conditioned living entities, and their karma and their calm, their desire. And this is impregnated into the material energy, and it forms the Mahatattva. Now, when this time energy, Kala Shakti, contacts the embodiment of the material energy, that's what we see in the Shiva temples, the lingam and the yoni. The yoni is the material energy and the lingam is the glance of Mahavishnu, which is Lord Shiva. Then by the mystic will, the mystic potency of the Supreme Lord, then this time factor acting upon the material energy creates the three modes of material, turns into the three modes. And these three modes are goodness, passion, and ignorance. Goodness means harmony. Passion means activity, desire. And ignorance means inertia. Just like we wake up in the morning, we take bath, and then we feel in the mode of goodness. When we go to sleep, we go in mode of ignorance. So these three modes are everywhere in certain formats, in all activities. So the root is when the time energy acts upon the material energy, then you have the creation of material time, and within material time, the modes of material nature act upon the pradhan, which is the basic substance. Now, if you go on the internet, you can see they sometimes have a vibrating plate, right? And they put sand on this plate, and they vibrate this plate at, say, 20,000, and it forms a pattern. Then they change the speed of vibration, it forms another pattern. So the three modes of material nature, they are the potency of the Supreme Lord for this purpose, and they create goodness, passion, and ignorance. And those passion and ignorance act upon the pradhan. Now, when it acts upon the pradhan in mode of goodness, it creates manas, the element of mind. When it acts upon the pradhan in mode of passion, it creates buddhi. When it acts upon the pradhan in ignorance, it creates shabda, vibration. So now shabda then creates the gross elements. How does it do it? You can find this chapter 25, 3rd canto. When the shabda, it is vibration. So by will of Supreme, this is described in Bhagavatam, shabda transforms or creates also, maintaining itself, but creates ether, akash. And that becomes the medium of vibration. And then the next transformation, creation by the will of the Supreme is the oral sense, the sense of hearing. Now, when the oral sense and ether combine, they create touch. When touch needs a medium, so then the tactile sense, which resides within the skin, which is the sense receptor, is created. So therefore you have, just to revise, you have shabda, ether, sense of sound residing in the ear. Then they combine and they create touch, the sense, skin, the tactile sense residing within the skin. And then you have the sense of touch, which is in the skin. So they combine then to create form, because when you touch something, you create form. So you can understand it. They combine, create form, and then that transforms that. Then now form is manifesting on the gross plane in the material world in the form of fire. You cannot see anything in air, pure air, or in pure ether. But in fire, you see form for the first time. So that the associated sense perception mechanism is the sense of sight. Sense of sight then combines with form, fire, to produce taste. Because when you look at something, you taste it, right? Oh, you get some mellow. So you can understand that way. So taste then needs a medium, so then water is produced. Water is tasted by the sense of taste, which resides in the tongue. And then the sense of taste combines with water to create smell. And then smell needs a medium, it's earth, and then it's called the olfactory sense, the sense of smell, is produced. So you have 3 there, 3 there, 3 there. That's 15. They're the gross elements. Now, that is produced out of the mode of ignorance. And now mode of passion, it's creating buddhi. Buddhi is regulating the manas. Manas is created out of interaction with pradhan, mind. So the mind is there. It is the container of the consciousness. We have consciousness, spirit, soul, but it's contained within the manas. The manas is like a cup, if you like, and the water is like consciousness, but it is much more flexible and subtle. But then, so that is created out of the mode of goodness, because mind maintains, memories maintains. But buddhi then, mode of passion, controls the mind. We controlling the mind, because we're thinking, I'll heat up this water, I'll make it cold, I'll put it in the fridge. So, I have a good idea in my mind, I'm going to make it into this painting. So the controller of the mind and consciousness is the buddhi. But the problem is, the buddhi is under control of ahankara, Lord Shiva, who is gunavatar for ignorance, tamagun. So therefore the ahankara makes us think, I'm this material body, this material mind. So this is the 15 elements, but then you also have 5 working senses. The working sense of speech. These working senses, they rely on the pradhan, the prana. What is prana? Prana is the energy of the soul in contact with material energy under the supervision of Krishna. We have certain prana energy, we can speak. So that is the first, that is associated with sound, speaking. Then we have the working senses of the arms. That is associated with touch. We administrate and touch things with our hands and arms. And then the next, the fire of digestion. That is associated with the organs. We digest food. And then the next working sense is the genital. The man and woman, they combine and they work together and they produce a baby. So that is related to water. And then the legs, the fifth walking, we're walking with the legs, they stand on the earth. So they're associated with earth. So that's your 20 gross elements. You have your mind, intelligence, and false ego, and you have contaminated consciousness. Because the soul is never contaminated, but the consciousness, by the influence of ahankara on buddhi, thinks that all this sense of taste and touch and earth, water, fire, air, ether, form, this is me. This is my nature. So these are the 24 elements of material nature, and then above that you have the soul itself, which is never contaminated, and then above that you have Krishna as Paramatma. And these are the 26 elements of the material creation, and they're produced out of the material modes. So this material modes, do not try to understand it just in terms of your material conditioning, what they taught you in school, that everything is explained by physics and chemistry. No, it is all mystic potency. And the transformation from one to the other, if you read that 25th chapter, 3rd canto, you will see that these are transformed. It says there in Bhagavatam that by the will of the Supreme Lord. These progressions in the elements are there by the will of the Supreme Lord. Now that is the gross elements, and then we're talking about the mind. But the modes of material nature are ultimately very subtle, because they are under the Kala Chakra. That time makes things vibrate. It makes change. So this Kala Chakra, understand it in this way, it is making activity, inertia, and balance. And so it has effect on consciousness, and those two elements that enter the consciousness, transforming it from chit to chittam, contaminated consciousness on the material plane, that is called avaranatmika buddhi and prasatmika buddhi. Prasatmika buddhi means that when the living entity turns away from Krishna and doesn't want to take up service from the Tatastha region, he enters into the material energy, and because he's a thinking conscious being, he gets this idea, this opinion, this plan, and he thinks they are all correct. Now this is very interesting. If you talk to everyone, practically, they all think I'm correct. The Muslim thinks I'm correct. The Jew thinks I'm correct. The Christian thinks I'm correct. The atheist thinks I'm correct. The BJP follower thinks I'm correct. The whatever the atheist, the Marxist, they all think I am correct. And so therefore they pursue these, and this is called, okay, we'll finish in 1 minute, time is up. It's called avaranatmika. So they get a false idea, and then they get avaranatmika. They get covered, which means they start to think that this opinion that I have about Muslims, about black people, about angels, about ghosts, about land, or about the best plan in life, they all think that this is correct. And therefore you'll find that when you talk to people and they start to give you their opinions, they don't like it when you say, well, actually, that's not right. Usually they're very attached. I'm right, you're wrong. I'm right, you're wrong. We fight. This is the idea. So this is material conditioning. This is called avaranatmika. So the gross elements, they cascade out by the supervision of the Supreme Lord. Then there is the subtle elements that enter into the consciousness. And then everyone has a different, this is what Krishna says. It's wonderful how Krishna says it. There is no being existing either here or among the demigods who is free from these three modes of material nature. So the three modes, like I'm saying, they're creating all these 26 elements that are the earth, water, fire, air, ether, the spirit and everything. That is all there within the material energy. And everyone has their own particular mixture I have my mixture, you have your mixture, you have your mixture. It's all because of desire and karma, past activity. And so it is changing. That is the nature of the material. It's changing. Everything is asashvatam. It is changing. Everything is progressing. The mind is progressing. The body is changing. It is all going on. So, that is stressful. That is kuntha, because the soul is spiritual. It is meant to live in the purely spiritual atmosphere. But to get there, we have to get sevan mukhi. Sava upadi vinaya muktam tat parena nirmalam rishikesha rishikena sevanam bhakti uchade. We have to get the mood of service just like that. Pariprashnena sevaya. We have to serve the liberated souls. By serving the liberated souls, we become linked up to the spiritual platform. And by serving them, then we become touched by spirit, and our spiritual nature wakes up, and we start to become enlightened and enthusiastic on the spiritual platform. So Krishna is saying, he's saying before this, be careful, Arjuna, there's mode of passion and there's mode of ignorance, and they will take you in this material world. You practice the mode of goodness, you perform sadhana bhakti, and you chant Hare, and then come to Lord Chaitanya, chant Hare Krishna, read Bhagavatam, and become free of these modes. That is the purpose of human life. What is that verse in the Bhagavad? Nate vidu sasta gatim he Vishnu. That the materialists, they don't understand that the real artha, wanted thing, they think dharma, artha, karma. They think the real artha is realization of Vishnu. You see, that is spiritual life. So the Vedas is incomparable to all the other literature in the world. There is no explanation comparable in any way or form, or in consistency, depth of knowledge. So by grace of Srila Prabhupada, he's translated that. We are spreading it all over the world. And we have a very simple method I've seen in 50 years. If you want to make devotee very easy, you don't have to tell them you're going to hell, you're in the cycle of birth and death, you're going to suffer. You don't have to say that, anything like that. Forget that. You just have to say, look, here's some beads. Chant. If you don't have beads, then just chant. Chant one mantra a day and come back. And if they chant, the mantra will act. Right? You all know this, right? You're all devotees. Why? Because you chant. Simple as that. So even if people just hear chanting. So this is the three modes of material nature in summary form. And like I say, Mahavishnu, when he breathes out, he glances upon the material energy, creates all this. And then he withdraws, and everything is withdrawn back into the pradhan. All the differentiation, all the different categories, they melt away back. Just like when you stop vibrating that plate, the sand just goes back to a ordinary shape. The pattern goes away. So everything comes, and then he exhales again. And so the material creation, Mahavishnu is there in the pradhan, the causal ocean, the Karanadakshai Samudra, and he's doing this eternally, creating. And in this material creation, there are billions of universes, billions of living entities. But he is empowering his devotees to give this knowledge. Just chant Hare Krishna and Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnu. You just study this knowledge and you practice smaranam. Smaranam will come naturally, and then you go back to Godhead. And to understand also another point is, one final point. You know, this is that song by Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Jeev Jago, Gora Chandra Bole, Pisa Chirako. How long will you remain asleep? So these three modes of material nature, like I say, they're affecting the consciousness. everybody in this material world, when you go to the temple, sit under the tree or sit on the side and think that everybody in this temple is under the spell of Maya. You know, we hear fairy stories. The prince is in the forest, he eats some grapes, and then the witch says, "You're eating my grapes, you're becoming a frog." So he's a frog. And only when the princess kisses you, you will become free of your frog body, become a prince again. Right? Like a fairy tale. So in the material world, the children, they're running up and down the steps. They're under the spell of thinking, I'm a girl, I'm a boy, I'm a child. Mummy and daddy are chanting, dancing. They're under the spell of thinking, I'm an Indian lady, I'm an Indian man, I've got a nice mustache. So everyone is under a spell. You understand? But include yourself in that. Include yourself in that. We are all under the spell to a greater or lesser extent of thinking I'm this material body. Right? People come up to me and they say, "Tum kya desh? Tum kahan se? Kahan se aa rahe?" Maybe sab log Bhagwan se aa rahe. मेरे देश नहीं है कुछ, मेरे देश कुछ, सब भगवान के देश है. So by knowledge we become liberated. Do you understand? So the first step of breaking this spell, Jeev Jago Gaura Chandra, is to chant Gaura Chandra and to absorb Jnana Chakshus, divine knowledge, divine vision. That wakes up the soul. That is the first part of becoming liberated. And from within that framework we chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Okay, we'll finish on that point. Sorry if I went over time. Next time I won't lose the keys. Huh? Next class, next Friday, but on time. Okay, one quick class. Now, is there a class also? Yes, okay. Please come. Okay, quick question.
Yeah, it's not from the class, but it's about Krishna consciousness. So my question is that when some devotee leaves his or her body, yes.
Yep.